Tonight on Localite, RaeLynn Ricarte of the Gorge Heroes Club makes her second visit to the show. She and John discuss the many projects, including a new book on soldiers and their families that RaeLynn has in the works. All that and more tonight on Localite.
So RaeLynn, welcome back. It's been a year already, hard to believe.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, likewise. Good to see you. So the Gorge Heroes Club keeps clipping along, and unfortunately so does this war, even though there
10 years now.
10 years, yeah. Well, but let's start back home right here with some changes that have happened with you. You've actually moved out of Hood River, you moved to the Dells.
Yes.
And you're working for the Chronicle.
Dells Chronicle. Mm-hmm.
How's that going?
I love it here. You know, I love it. And this was really a great place to bring a troop support effort because people here, you know, are really quick to come forward and, you know, help out. There's a big veterans group you can go to for resources. So it's been a really good move for me. The daily newspaper thing, you know, that daily deadline takes a little getting used to.
Yeah. Are you still doing a lot of writing?
Yeah, also building pages. I had
so
to enter
designing.
the technology world, so that's been a pretty big challenge. So lots of big challenges.
Yeah. Well then, with the Gorge Heroes Club, what's changed as far as, are you more centrally focused in the Dells, or are you still doing things up in Hood River?
Both.
You're doing both?
Yeah, we pack boxes in both places. And what changed this year is we had the National Guard soldiers go out. We had 135 from the Dalles and 30 from Hood River. And then we got asked to take on what I call military orphans, kids that aren't getting mail from home. And we got asked to take on 142 National Guard soldiers from the different armories around Oregon. So we took care of those babies too. So we altogether had over 700 care packages go out in June. That was the largest total that we've ever had.
Right. Wow.
So it's growing, and we just got contacted by some Army sergeant, and we don't know yet where they're from or what, but they heard about us and they contacted us. And our mission's always been Mid-Columbia based, and so it's just funny that we're being contacted now by other military units outside this area.
And when you were here last time, I think we talked about this briefly, but are there other organizations that are essentially doing the same thing in other parts of the country? And do you guys interact?
Yes, we interact. The difference between us and some of the other ones are we usually connect the unit that we take care of to a local person, and that gives us a direct contact to be able to get their names, especially if they're orphans and they need, special consideration from a home. Then you're able to personalize that. They get a card and a package with their name on them. And so it's given us a little bit more of an in than just generally adopting them. And we always ask for that when we take them on. And we'll try to take on the entire unit. So some of those people won't be from the Mid-Columbia, but they're attached to somebody who is.
Okay.
And we do interact. All of the pro-troop groups, are working together because we're all on the same front to try to help America understand that they really now more than ever need our support.
Right, right.
10 years at war is a long time.
Oh, yeah. It's a very long time. And you and I were talking before we started taping about how many deployments, 6, 8 deployments these folks are having to do. That's just got to take an emotional toll.
Terrible toll. Terrible on the families.
Yeah.
Terrible on the families. The suicide rate is up, the divorce rate is up, the PTSD issues are up, and there is no warrior that comes back from combat that doesn't have some level of PTSD. And every time that you add to that, you create that much more that they have to deal with. And they're answering America's call because, they were sent there by Congress, and people need to be saying thank you now more than ever, I think.
Yeah. And the PTSD is the post-traumatic syndrome disorder?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The nightmares. Those kind of things.
And what's being done to help with those folks? Because it is, kind of this. It's almost like this forgotten war that's, at the same time, everybody it seems like I know is got a relative, a son, a daughter, somebody that's in this war, at some level.
Well, America's military families make up about 1% of the nation's population, and so, you have a very small percentage that are bearing the burden to provide national defense for 310 million people. And the military is trying to step up a lot of resource programs, to help out with a lot of the issues because, you have young moms and he's always gone, either training or, the divorce rate. I think the last statistics I saw were 1 out of every 20 military marriages ends within 2 years of that separation. declaration, for deployments because there's just too much pressure. And he gets back and he wants to be left alone, and she's like, I've had these kids for a year, take them, And so there's just unique challenges that military families face, and it's really disheartening to feel like America has just moved on and we're dealing with this stuff, and America's just, doesn't care, anymore. They've checked out of the war. Yeah. And the guys are feeling it too. There's a lot of bitterness out there right now.
I bet. But you're not necessarily seeing that so much because, well, I should rephrase that. You're not so much experiencing that with these folks that you're working with because these are people that are in this with the same focus that you have, right?
Right. And we have a good group of community people, and when a warrior expresses to me that America, we're at war, America's at the mall, it's like, not here, dude. We're taking care of business here, and we're letting you know that we care about you, and so we never don't answer a need that gets brought to us. And we have a really good working relationship with the armories in the Dalles and Hood River, and that's helping us too. It helps us stay connected to some of the units out, and they're actually working on our causes with us. So
good. So what are some of those? So tell me about some of the causes.
The first thing, we kind of had an evolution. We decided, I was watching the roaming gnome commercials one day, and I thought, wouldn't it be fun to see how they did in a combat zone? So I wrote these really careful emails to some lieutenant colonels out there and said, sir, I want to do this to boost morale. And I thought, well, I'm going to get, lady, we got a few things to do. But they were really open to it, and they said, yeah, the guys need a boost. This will be great. The weather's, it's 125 degrees and rising, And so we sent over 15 combat gnomes. They're just the little garden gnomes. And then we actually found a combat gnome that has camouflage. So, he became another project. But we challenged them to take pictures and send it back in. And the winning unit with the most creative pictures would win a Texas Hold'em poker tournament. So we're waiting on that. The deadline is coming up here in the next couple weeks. So we'll see what we get. And then Sergeant First Class Alex Porter from the Dalles Armory decided we should do a home front gnome. So we call him Homie, and he could raise public awareness here about his brothers being over in the combat zone. So we got that challenge going, and so we started a campaign of one. And I'd like to take credit for this, but Sergeant Porter came up with it, so I have to do the right thing here. Anyway, we gave it to the mayor of the Dalles, and he's been challenged to spread the word about the need to raise, what we're asking for is one person can make a difference, one letter, $1, one stamp, one soldier supported. And we're making it as simple as we can for people to join that. Our goal is to get 1 million letters in a year. Homie's going to be traveling. He's going to Hood River next, and he'll be going to Portland after that, eventually to meet the governor and move on to another state. And then Greg Walden is sort of taking our Homie to Congress, and he's going to work it back at the federal level. So we're just in a real outreach to raise public awareness about the need to support him.
Great. Well, let's talk about Homie the Gnome a bit more when we come back, and some of the success stories that you've had. So, Gorge Heroes Club will continue right here on Localite. We'll be right back.
Next,
he's going to the rodeo. He's going to be joining the mayor on horseback. I'm hoping that goes well. He's going to be, he's in the parade. He's been to ball games. He's been to civic meetings. He's been at city council meetings, sitting there, up there with them. He's been eating endlessly. The mayor's been taking him to a lot of birthday parties and things like that.